morning. Welcome and thanks for joining me in Robin's Kitchen. As promised, here is my gravy demo. Lots of tips that'll help make things easier for you, hopefully. So in the Rock Crock, I'm using chicken because it isn't turkey time yet, but I cut the chicken into small pieces. And now I'm going to remove the chicken from here. So this would be just similar to what you're doing with your turkey. You want a little bit of juice left in there. And can you see the little bits that are sticking to the pan? That's called the fond, F-O-N-D. I think that's how it's spelled. And you want that to stay in there. That's the good part of what you use to make your gravy. Now into this to make a roux, R-O-U-X, lots of great videos out there for that too. We need a stick of butter. Now, granted, I could just throw this in here and it would melt eventually, but you don't want what's in there already to burn. So the way that I work around that, and P.S., this tip works really well if you're gonna bake and you forgot to get your butter out. You just take your butter and use a cheese grater and grate the butter. That'll make it melt much quicker. And if you're softening butter for a recipe, this is a really quick way to do that too. So we're gonna just grate that so that it starts to melt. And it's okay if it piles up in the middle, that's not a problem, because it will eventually get warm enough that it will melt. So I usually do about a stick of butter, sometimes a little bit less. You know what, I think we'll call this done because we don't have a whole lot to do here. So we used about 6 tablespoons of butter in that. All right, so now we've got the butter started to melt. And this is where you really want to scrape your pot. I like using our Rock Crocks for multiple reasons, but one of my favorites with this particular piece of cookware is that it's microwave safe, oven safe, dishwasher safe, key in my house, and it makes it real easy. Now, I would like a little bit of flavor to that. So I'm gonna add some salt to taste and just a little bit of pepper. Just enough to kind of give it a little bit of flavor. Now, if I had cooked my chicken with onions and peppers, that would be adding into the flavor too. But I want to give it a little more flavor, so I'm going to put some garlic in. Here's how you break a clove of garlic, a bulb. You put your hand on top of the heel, the root end, stem end goes down, and you press. And you can kind of hear it sounds like crunchy leaves. But what it's doing is releasing all of the bulbs, so the cloves from the bulb, so you can pull them apart really easy. So there's a couple of ways that you can do garlic. For this, I'm going to probably, you know what? I'm going to slice it because I like it sliced better, and I'll tell you why. Let me just show you this quick. Here, this is the garlic press. Best part about this is you don't even have to peel your clove of garlic. Pop the garlic in, give it a squeeze. Use the tool to scrape off the rest. Open it up, there's your garlic skin. And it goes in the trash can while I rub a little behind my ears. I love that smell. But to do it in a slicer and to get it a little more, it just adds a sweetness. You want to peel your garlic. And then pop it in the slicer, and then go right over top of your cooking vessel and just slice it. It kind of shaves it. It has a bigger piece, and you think that that's going to make it have more of a flavor, but it's actually sweeter. All right, so we've got our butter. Let's not blow us up while we're doing this. We've got our butter going. Garlic's been added. We've got a nice little fond going. So now here comes the roux. And I don't know if you noticed, but my My flour container I have had since Katie was in elementary school. She made these for me one year for Christmas. So all of my canisters have their artwork on the outside telling me what's inside. So I'm going to start with about 1/3 of a cup of flour and just kind of put it in there, and you just begin to work it. And this is going to become a really thick paste. And that's how you know that you've got your roux to the right consistency, is when it thickens up and looks like a blob you wouldn't serve anybody. So this is definitely not thick enough. We want it a little thicker. So we're gonna go with another cup, another 1/3 of a cup. The good part about doing a roux is you can never make it too thick. So you don't have to worry about messing that up. So we've got this pretty good. We want to work it till we have all of it together. And we have a nice thick paste. All right, so how do I make gravy out of this? You can make so many different things out of this. This is the base that I use for my homemade macaroni and cheese. This is the base that I use for my fettuccine alfredo. But with this, we're gonna just add some chicken stock. Now, if I was gonna do this with turkey for the holidays, I would make my own turkey stock ahead of time. Or even just the day that you're cooking, you can throw the innards, the gross part that I can't touch, that makes me need to be near a sink, and cook them down to make the gravy part, the stock part. So you just keep adding this until it starts to thicken up. And you'll know it gets you right to the gravy, great gravy thickness that you like. And everybody likes their gravy different. Some people like it like an au jus, and some like it that you can stand a fork up in it. That was the way my dad always liked it. He liked his gravy thick. So again, we're gonna just continue to add and stir to make the roux. Now, if this scares you because you don't even want to go there, the other really good way to do this, and actually I could probably make this one pot do everything. So I'm going to way thin out my roux so that I can show you another way to thicken it up. And again, when you're at this point, you want to make sure that you're testing flavor, because you want it to be tasting like whatever the gravy is supposed to taste like, but also seasoned. Sometimes I'll grab a pinch of kosher salt. And kosher salt I like just because it has way more flavor and it's much more concentrated, so you don't need as much. All right, so what I'm trying to do now, since I've added all of this juice, is I'm trying to break up all those flour bits from making the roux. And I did it this way. Now, obviously, if I was making gravy from the roux, I would not have put the whole carton of stock in here, but I wanted to show you the other way that I do this. Tried and true, doesn't fail. Hopefully it's not gonna fail today. All right, so, weird thing. My mom always used a coffee cup to do this, always. I don't know why. Maybe she just didn't have extra measuring cups, but she always had coffee cups. So for you people that have to measure, this is what I did. I put 8 ounces of water in here, and I'm adding a 1/4 cup of cornstarch. And you just stir this till it looks like runny, milky, gross, something you would never even entertain drinking, but you're gonna like how it tastes. So now we're gonna turn the heat up a little bit on our pot, because this needs to be at a really good warm temperature when you do this. Otherwise, you're gonna keep adding cornstarch water, and you're gonna end up, it'll seize. It'll just get to the point where it doesn't do anything. It looks like a big bowl of gelatin. Wrapping up here, this is not going to take long once we get this hot. Let's give it a test and see how it's doing. When you add the cornstarch and water, it'll start to thicken. The important part here is to keep stirring. And if for some reason you add your whole mug of water and it's still runny, you can just go right to the cornstarch container and add a teaspoon or a tablespoon at a time. But I can already start to see this thickening. I can feel it when I stir it. So again, you're going to just take it to whatever consistency your family likes, but you'll notice there's no lumps. There are no lumps in this gravy. And that's the beauty of using cornstarch. That's it. That's how you make gravy. And thank you for joining me for this really awesome question raised by all of you that join me in Robin's Kitchen. There's the answer to your Thanksgiving dilemma. Now you can make gravy like a champ. Thanks for joining me in Robin's Kitchen. Have a good day. Happy Thanksgiving. Bye.